What is up, duelists? Arsencrofts here, back at it again with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format content. Before we hop into the feature match, just want to let all of my lovely viewers know that I will probably be taking a couple-day hiatus from uploads, because I'll be traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday that is in a couple of days. So I'll probably be taking a break till around Friday, is my guess. But still have a match here for you today. We're featuring Ash's Spicy versus Mathman. I think at least Ash's Spicy has definitely been on this channel before, so some returning faces here up in the upper echelons of the Dueling Book GOAT format ladder. Without further ado, let's get into it. Ash's Spicy wins the RPS. Gonna choose to go first. Gonna lead out with a T-set pass. Mathman has the Nobleman of Crossout to deal with the set, and it is a Dekoichi, so Ash's Spicy on likely some sort of Chaos list. Banishing, playing the full 3 copies of the Dekoichi. Mathman, on the other hand, does not seem to be playing anything, and we are going to get normal summon Giant Rat, get in for 1400. So pretty... Giant Rat, I think, generally signifies most likely Earth Aggro, but also commonly played in Panda Burn, as it can search up Injection Fairy Lily and Gakugure Panda, 2 of the namesake cards of the deck. But definitely getting a bit aggressive here. No back row to protect it, so possibly less likely that it's Burn, more likely that it's Earth Aggro. Ash's Spicy, let's see how you can deal with kind of a tricky little recruiter here. Jar of Greed is going to go try and draw for an answer. We're going to get normal summon Tribe Infecting Virus, which is a nice, clean way of dealing with it if you have a good discard. Has a Nobleman of Crossout, so I think making the call that, you know what, I'm probably playing against Earth Aggro. I'm not going to get a lot of Nobleman of Crossout value this game, because they don't tend to set a lot of monsters. So pitching it for the Tribe is probably best case scenario for knock in the matchup. And dealing with the Rat nice and cleanly. And Tribe can start beating in for 1600 after getting a little bit of value. No back row to protected, though, so if this is Earth Aggro, you know, they do play a lot of large monsters, being a beatdown deck. Gigantes, for example, is live now that Giant Rat is in the grave, so you got to be worried about this Tribe a little bit. And we are going to see Gigantes hit the board, so Ash's Spicy, yeah, Tribe is going to get beaten over, and we have Injection Fairy Lily to just start beating in for a ton of damage here. Going to pay the 2,000 life to power it up by 3,000 attack points. Such a cool card. And that'll drop Ash's Spicy all the way down to 2,900, facing lethal damage with the help of a second Injection Fairy Lily activation for Mathman if they choose to go that route. Back row to protect it as well. Somewhat of a risk with Gigantes on the board if it's unchainable, because Gigantes will heavy storm the board if it gets killed in battle. But Ash's Spicy so far just looks like they're running some standard Chaos Turbo stuff, and so there aren't a lot of monsters that can beat over Gigantes in that deck. Ash's Spicy gonna go Heavy Storm of their own, just clear out the back row, try and make a play. It's an MST, totally fine. There's the way to fire off a Delinquent Duo, ripping out the last couple cards in Mathman's hand. Smashing Ground, which was dead for the time being, as well as an Exiled Force. So nice little 2-for-1 there for Ash's Spicy. And they're gonna go ahead and set a monster. Now Spy here would definitely get in the way of all of this. Fairy can of course kill a Spy, but you pay 2,000 life points to do it, so generally not a super worthwhile trade. Mathman gonna go ahead and summon another Gigantes that they just top decked, thanks to the Exiled Force that was pitched to the grave by the duo. And they're just going to concede there, so too many monsters. I guess potentially hoping that Mathman attacked in a specific order that would have kept them alive. But the extra Gigantes, I guess, is just too much to deal with. And Mathman takes it down game 1 here for Earth Aggro. So pretty cool matchup here today. We don't see a lot of Earth on the Dueling Book ladder. It is quite a strong deck in the format, but suffers from a pretty bad matchup against the standard Chaos decks. But interesting to see. Go to game 2 here. Ash's Spicy will go first. We'll see if they had anything cooking in the sideboard here for this specific matchup. Gonna lead out with Thunder Dragon, so gonna go up slightly in card advantage. I'm going to go T-set pass here. Mathman, can you start getting aggressive here? Going to lead out with a Reinforcement of the Army. Great card. Search for a Mystic Swordsman level 2. It's both an Earth and a Warrior. And it is a great way to deal with these set monsters. So it'll attack into the set, then trigger its effect to pop it before its flip effect can activate if it has one. But we've got Mirror Force to protect the set monster. Nice. It's always a little bit sad when you have to Mirror Force a 900 attack monster, but it's about to kill your set, so gotta do what you gotta do. And Mathman stymied for the turn, just gonna set a back row pass. Asher Spicy with the tempo advantage here, thanks to going first. We'll see if they have a valuable flip monster here. Gonna flip up a Dekoichi, the battle chanted Locomotive. That allowed them to draw a card and start applying a little bit of pressure here. Upstart to dig even further. Into normal summon Breaker, the Magical Warrior, which can try and pop this back row. Which it does is a Royal Decree, so Decree here on Earth Aggro. Not sure if that's standard or not, but definitely the type of deck that benefits from not having to worry about stuff like Mirror Force and Torrentials, so it definitely, it makes sense to me, at least. But here, just succumbing to good old Breaker, and now Ashes Spicy can get in for 3k. It's a 3-turn clock for Mathman. Behind on board, behind on cards. Not looking too good right out of the gate here, but not out for the count just yet. Mathman's got a Breaker of their own. You got to make the choice between pop the set, Crash Breakers, or beat over Breaker, pop the set main phase 2 to get the pure +2, essentially. Gonna go for the conservative play, go for the pop and crash, or you can go pop, beat over Deco, and then wall out the other Breaker as well, I guess. But hitting a Dust Tornado there, the Breaker would kill the Dekoichi. And then we got a Swords of Revealing Light, which is kind of interesting. You don't think the aggro decks would generally want to play that if they're playing against not an aggro deck themselves. Like, if you're playing against Warrior or another Earth aggro deck, I can totally understand siding in Swords. But against Turbo, seems like if you're in a position where you're getting a lot of value out of Swords, you're probably losing anyway, because that means your opponent has stabilized. So, kind of an interesting choice here, but it is going to hit the board. And is going to protect the Breaker from any potential crashes, for example. Ashes Spicy, though, going to go ahead and slam down that Chaos Sorcerer, the Dekoichi getting killed in battle, being the dark that they needed in Grave to enable their Chaos monsters. And that will go ahead and banish the Breaker. I'll go ahead and set a monster as well to add even more pressure. Only Spell Engraves is Upstart Goblin, so if you're Mathman, you're not super worried about a Magician of Faith here. It definitely could be that. But not the most high-impact Faith that you'll ever see, if it is that. I'm going to go ahead, we'll normal summon Goblin Attack Force, which notably has 2300 attack and can crash with Chaos Sorcerer. So I guess that is a little bit of value from the Swords of Revealing Light, is that it protects your Goblin Attack Forces from just being killed in battle when they're sitting idly in defense position. So there is a little bit of synergy there. I'm not sure if the timing works out exactly here. Well, so that was just the first turn of Swords, so if you attack this turn, say you attack Breaker, it'll go to defense position, it'll chill there for the second turn of Swords, and then you can go ahead and untap it. Or, sorry, untap it. Turn it into attack position after that. I've been watching a lot of Magic the Gathering on YouTube recently. But we're just not going to worry about that play. We're just going to crash Goblin Attack Force with the Sork, deal with it. Yeah, and I guess that doesn't make sense anyway, right? Because if you don't have a way of dealing with Sork now, you can just beat over the Breaker, but then Sork will banish it on your turn anyway. So crashing, I think, makes sense. One card, clean way to deal with the Sork. It banished your Breaker, that already got some use as well. So honestly, card advantage-wise, despite the Sork resolving and getting some value, you're kind of fine with this if you're Mathman. Just the rest of what's happened so far this game has not been super great for you. I'm just going to have to pass turn, hiding behind the Swords for another round. My screen is freezing. No, we are good. Okay. Ashes Spicy, we're going to go ahead and flip summon Dekoichi number 2 for the game. And notably, Sork hitting the grave is a Dark Engrave, and we know Ashes Spicy is holding double Thunder Dragon in hand, so they have Chaos live whenever they want. Dekoichi will go ahead and draw another card. Dust Tornado being one of the deck's outs to Swords here if they wanted to get aggressive, so unfortunate that that has hit the grave already, but you still have MST, you still have Heavy Storm in the deck that you're potentially digging for, and we will see the Heavy Storm hit the field right now, popping that Swords, and now you can continue to apply a clock here if you're Mathman. Blackluster Soldier is just game here. We're just going to see normal summon Sangan, though, so this is 4k to the Dome. Mathman will drop to 2,000, and we'll be facing Lethal on board, which is not a great sign if you are supposed to be the beatdown deck in the matchup, but Ashes Spicy using the fact that they went first to great advantage here and kind of capitalizing on some of the interesting card choices we saw from Mathman. Earth Aggro's final stand here. We're going to go set a back row, normal summon Kaiku, which is bigger than the entire board, and does set out, or stop for the moment, any potential chaos plays with discard Thunder Dragon out of Ashes Spicy. Kaiku's going to go ahead and beat over the Dekoichi, banish the Sork, still has a Dark Engrave. So if the Kaiku can get removed, Chaos will be live. But at least gaining control over the board here, which is, what you want to be doing as Earth Aggro. Gonna go past turn. Ashes Spicy just really has to get past this Kaiku. Doesn't seem like they have a way to do it here, though. Just gonna go set a monster, set a back row, turn everyone into defense, and we are turtling up here while we try and dig for an answer to the Kaiku. Defense position, of course, important against the Kaiku because it only gets its effect triggered if it deals combat damage. So unless you have a big bang shot in here, Kaiku will not be triggering anytime soon. Graceful Charity will get fired off for Mathman, though, digging for something to break through this wall that Ashes Spicy has set up. I'm going to go ahead and discard Gravekeeper Spy. Just played in every deck in the format. And DD Assailant. All right. Let's see what they chose to keep. Heavy Storm is a good card. Deal with the back row. Hits your own Book of Moons. You are 2 for 1ing yourself, but you do clear out a Torrential Tribute, and maybe you can start getting some value here now that you know you have no back row to deal with. We're going to normal summon Mystic Swordsman level 2, which can deal with this new set monster. We'll probably see Kaiku beat over the Breaker, Swordsman beat over the set. Yeah, so Swordsman will attack the set monster. Effect triggers, and it kills a Spy, so tons and tons of value there. Spy, of course, being an absolute house of a card against aggro decks because there aren't a lot of cards that can get over it cleanly. Goblin Attack Force beats over it, but then gets turned to defense position to get beaten over by the second Spy that gets summoned out. So there really isn't a lot of good ways to deal with Spies in Earth besides getting it before it can flip. So really great for Mathman to be able to have that happen. And Breaker will go, or Kaiku will go ahead and kill that Breaker. And now it's just the Sangan sitting between Mathman and Ashes Spicy's life points. But Sangan can potentially beat over the Mystic Swordsman. That will open it up to a potential Kaiku attack, but you will get the search at least. So some interesting choices to come up here for both players, I think. Ashes Spicy, drawing for turn. Tsukuyomi is just a great card here. It deals with both of the monsters over the course of 2 turns. Also turns the Kaiku off. And yeah, so we can go Tsukuyomi, kill the Kaiku, Sangan, kill the Mystic Swordsman. You do have Mirror Force to worry about here, but your Sangan getting Mirror Force is like totally fine here, I think, anyway. Yeah, so Kaiku will hit the grave. Mystic Swordsman will hit the grave, and that was just like the perfect 1-2 punch to deal with Mathman's kind of last desperate attempt at mounting an offense this game, and now you're just down a million cards. You're at 1900 life points. It's probably GG here in favor of our turbo player, but we'll see if Mathman can muster anything up. Smashing Ground to deal with the Sangan is a little bit interesting. I guess it prevents damage from coming in immediately, but if you're Ashes Spicy, probably just go ahead and grab like a Gravekeeper Spy is my guess. Yeah, grab that Spy. You can even just normal summon it, start attacking in. It's a 2-turn clock. Yeah, we'll get Wind Blast here. Discard one of those Thunder Dragons to bounce the set. It's Decree. So that will negate that, but Ashes Spicy now you know you have no back row to deal with here, and if you have any Chaos, if you have Spy, yeah, I mean, just normal summon Spy beat in, right? It's probably the play. We're going to go T-set pass, which does leave you, depending on what your set is, does leave you open to stuff like Exiled Force, Mystic Swordsman, things like that. Um, but if you have a third spy in deck, being able to flip it and go for game next turn is totally fine. Plus, you have Tsukiyomi in hand as well. Mathman, though, just going to go set a monster here, try and wall out as best they can. We're just going to go main phase, summon out that BLS, banish the set monster. It's a DD Warrior Lady, which would have been one of the best cards in the deck to answer BLS, of course, but gonna hit the banish zone there, and then Spy will summon out another copy of itself, and that's GG. Even if you didn't have the third copy, you had the Tsukuyomi in hand as well, which would have been enough damage. So game 2 here, going to Chaos Turbo against Earth Aggro, but Mathman on the beatdown deck will get to go first here in game 3, so we'll see if they're able to utilize that inherent tempo advantage to steal this match away from their competitor. Leading out with Duo is a great way to start. And it hits a giant orc. Kind of a spicy card here for Ashes Spicy. It's interesting, right? It's probably better against regular warrior, but the idea is it is just a big normal summonable beater with a bunch of attack points that gets over most of the monsters in an aggro deck, right? Now, generally, you see Zambira played in this slot because the extra 100 life points is actually relevant for dealing with sorcerers, dealing with dealing with enemy goblin attack forces, which is very relevant in this matchup, of course. It also has the goblin attack force effect, where it, falls asleep after it attacks, which makes it a little bit worse than Zambira from the perspective of you can't just have it stay there as a wall and attack turn after turn as well, given the opportunity. But the advantage of playing it over Zambira, of course, is that Giant Orc can attack directly, which Zambira cannot. So it can apply pressure to your opponent into an empty board, which Zambira can't. But Orc is going to hit the grave here. Ashes Spicy discards a Magician of Faith, which notably turns on Chaos, which could prove relevant. Also could just mean you have a Faith in hand with no spells to care about. But you're still happy with the duo resolving here if you're Mathman. Off to a solid start, card advantage-wise. And you got a monster to back it up here with a normal summoned DD Assailant plus a back row. Difficult card to deal with, just kind of an all-around solid beater here for Earth. Ashes Spicy, what's your play? Gonna go set a monster pass. No back row. So Mathman could muster up something good here. And one of those good cards is that Mystic Swordsman that we see hit the board again here. For the first time in Game 3, but for, I think, the third time in this match. And that'll go ahead, trigger the effect on the set monster popping. It is a Sangan, though. Interesting. So, just clearing the way for the DD Assailant to start beating in for some damage. Asher Spicy is going to be able to get a search here. And something like a Gravekeeper Spy, like we saw last game, is, well, if you could deal with the Swordsman, Gravekeeper Spy is really good. Otherwise, you're just running it into its demise. So you do have to, what you grab here is definitely going to be dependent on what's in your hand if you're Ashes Spicy. You have to worry about Mystic Swordsman. Tsukuyomi deals with the Swordsman, but does not deal with the DD Assailant, of course having 1600 defense. So we'll see what they choose to grab. They just grab a Sinister Serpent, which can just kind of wall out for free. Just kind of a good all-around card. Generally just the standard grab with Sangan, unless you have a really good reason to grab something else. And I think, unless you got Spy in hand, you're kind of signifying that you have no way of answering this Mystic Swordsman right now. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you grab Spy. But Sinister in hand here for Ash. Let's see what else they're cooking. Okay, maybe you just... Sinister makes a lot of sense now. Tribe Infecting Virus with the free +2. Obviously, 2 warriors on the board here for Mathman. So the Sinister Serpent will hit the grave. Ooh, interesting play here. Okay. So Serpent will be able to kill the Mystic Swordsman for free, which is a nice plus and card advantage for Ashes Spicy. But Mathman does have the Book of Moon here to set their DD Assailant, protecting it from the Tribe Infecting Virus effect, and keeping it on board to potentially beat over Tribe next turn. However, this is a temporary -1 if you do not get the attack off next turn. So Tribe's still getting a lot of value, at least temporarily here. We'll see if they have a way of dealing with the set DD Assailant, or if it will just be able to clap back on Mathman's turn. Okay, we're actually just going to crash in, flip it face up, and do we have, like, Snatch Steal here? Well, okay, you can just attack in and then discard another card. You have Magician of Faith, so double Faith here for Ashes Spicy, but apparently no spells to go with it. But you do at least force your opponent to discard a real card to deal with your DD Assailant this time. Oh, you did expend the Book of Moon already anyway, so Tribe getting a ton of value here, plus the Sinister that was searched off the Sangan. And kind of an uphill battle here for Mathman here on out. Tribe, one of the best cards in the deck against decks, just to kind of deal with all of their monsters. Mathman, though, does have a Goblin Attack Force, which is a nice way to beat over this Tribe, but assuming the back row is not real. But it is a Mirror Force, so Tribe will live to see another day, and Ashes Spicy gotta give it to him. Seems like they've pretty much stabilized at this point, while Mathman could be cooking up some other stuff in their hand. But things are looking good for Ashes Spicy for the most part, I would say. Get to recur that Sinister Serpent, solidify that +1 in card advantage. Starts to beat in with 1600. Totally fine. You know your opponent is on Royal Decree, so it's unlikely that they're running like the random Sakuretsu armor or something. Mirror Force is a card, but probably not worth playing around here. I'm gonna go ahead and set a monster as well. Could be that Sinister Serpent, could be something more live. We'll have to see. Mathman, though, we're gonna go ahead and normal summon that DD Assailant, number 2 for the game. And that can just beat over the Tribe pretty cleanly, so mounting a little bit of offense here. Still has this other set monster to worry about, though. It's gonna pass, though. Ashes Spicy. It was a set to Koichi, so that's gonna be able to cycle for a card. MST will clear out the back row, which was a Bluff Set Mind Control. A little bit cheeky there. Opting not to use it on the set, I guess making the read that it was Sinister Serpent, so choosing not to Mind Control and just going -1. And paying the price, getting punished for it, because Ashes Spicy is going to be able to resolve this to Koichi. And your Mind Con is going to get popped there. Huh. Is the Bluff Set Mind Con the right call to make there? I mean, I guess Chaos is on, and when your opponent has Chaos live, it makes more sense to bluff set stuff because you want to kind of dissuade them from going for big OTK or close to OTK lines. So from that perspective, the bluff set makes sense, but man, did they get punished for it. They had 2 other options of what to do with this mind control that would have been better than what they did, right? But unfortunately, they end up getting punished for it. We're going to get Giant Orc normal summoned here. It'll do its job to beat over the DD Assailant. Assailant effect will banish both of them, but you're totally fine with that as Ashes Spicy. It's one step closer to stabilizing, 1 more threat removed, and you'll still have the Dekoichi stuck around here to get in for some damage. So that's 1900 taken here for Mathman, down to 3500. Pretty, you know, you could say that they're slightly ahead in cards here. Well, no, they're not. No, because they went first. So slightly behind in card advantage here. But it's just a Dekoichi on board. A solid, if you're able to stick a solid threat here, you know, the game is pretty simplified, so stuff like board advantage and pressure is going to matter a lot more. So, not out of it yet. A little bit behind. I'm going to go ahead, set a back row, and go for reinforcement of the army. Not sure what the reasoning for the sequencing there would be, but probably doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and search up and then proceed to normal summon that DD Warrior Lady. And that will go attack over the Dekoichi, deal 100 damage, and continue to pressure the life points. But we got Book of Moon here, just kind of trading it. I mean, that's... right. You're kind of fine with that if you're a Mathman, right? There's probably better uses for that book in this deck. It is just going to end up cycling for a card. And so what you got rid of Dekoichi and Book of Moon for them to draw another card. So that's actually a plus in card advantage here for Mathman. And so, like I was saying, sometimes in these simplified game states, even just a 1500 attack threat that can apply pressure turn after turn can be super valuable, and it looks like Ashes Spicy just didn't have any outs to this, so they needed to kind of go negative using their Book of Moon to try and draw into something to stabilize. So, man, you know, so far Ashes Spicy's done a good job answering as much as they could between Tribe and Giant Orc and all that good stuff, but Mathman just has threat after threat after threat here, and they might have run Ashes Spicy out of answers here, though. They have just dug a couple cards further in their deck, though, so decent chance they find something to deal with here. Upstart Goblin, though, gonna have to dig a little bit further. We're gonna go set a monster, set a couple back row, pass here. So the DD Warrior Lady sticks around. We'll see. Spy would obviously be really good here if you can get that to resolve for Ashes Spicy. Mathman has Pot of Greed, though, which is huge to draw a little bit further into the deck. That will resolve. And have you turn the corner here as Mathman. Normal summon Mystic Swordsman level 2 to deal with a potential Spy, perhaps? See the effect? You know you don't have Mirror Force to worry about anymore. That's hit the grave, but a random Sakuretsu armor is real. Torrential Tribute's going to come down. I guess you knew this set monster was Sinister Serpent, sorry. That was a known set monster, so couldn't have been Spy, but the idea here is you want to start applying pressure by beating over the Serpent with a monster and then clearing the way for DD Warrior Lady to get in for 1500, so at least you can continue to deal damage through the Serpent wall. But unfortunately, this does play right into Torrential Tribute. This is a nice +1 for Ashes Spicy. And suddenly the pendulum swings back into Ashes Spicy's favor. Crazy. Mathman, though, still trying their best. Still not out of it. You've just had threat after threat after threat. But who will run? Will you run out of threats before your opponent runs out of answers? That's kind of the question in this matchup so far. It's been tit for tat so far all game. Ashes Spicy gonna set a monster pass. May not be the Serpent this time, but decent chance it is. Mathman just gonna set a monster pass. We know they're running Spies of their own, so decent chance it is that. Not really sure what other card you would set in this deck, unless like you're running Sinister Serpent of your own, perhaps. Sometimes you'll see DD Assailant set, but you probably wouldn't do that here. You'll also see, like we saw, I think, last game or the game before, DD Warrior Lady does have more defense than attack, so setting DD Warrior Lady instead of normal summoning it makes sense oftentimes. But the card, of course, is limited, so we know it's not that. Ashes Spicy here. Yep. Okay, so it was Serpent. We're going to flip summon Serpent. Go ahead and normal summon Tsukuyomi to try and start beating in for some damage. This is really interesting. You're probably just running into a Spy here, right? Yeah. The Spy will hit the board there. Kind of an interesting play. Tribe is gone, too, so flipping them face up doesn't really do anything for you unless you have, like, Call of the Hunted for Tribe would go crazy, right? But that's probably not the case. And you might not even want to do that anyway because you have your own Tsukuyomi on board. But Suk just flipping into pretty much known Spy. Taking 900 damage for little reason, I guess. Just going to set a back row pass, so interesting turn there. Probably not super consequential, but maybe that 900 damage will come back to bite them. Reinforcement of the army out of here for Mathman. Man, they just do not run out of gas. It's so interesting watching Earth Aggro compared to like a Warrior list, right? Because they're both nominally like beatdown decks sometimes. Some people argue about what Warrior really is, but in most matchups, it's at least a beatdown relative to its opponent. But Warrior is a very, very monster-light deck, right? Because it wants to turn on stuff like Blade Knight, it wants to set a bunch of cards, and play like the one-for-one game with all the back row. Whereas Earth Aggro just plays tons and tons of normal summons and can just crank them out. Can even go normal summon plus more pressure with the Gigantes. So just a very, very different style of beatdown deck here. But both are quite solid, and that's one of the cool things about GOAT format. There's a wide array of different play styles that are viable in the format. And we see kind of the deck's, or the format's purest beatdown deck in action here today, which I think is cool. Rhoda here, though, is going to go ahead and grab Exiled Force. You got to worry about Sinister Serpent. I wouldn't go ahead and shotgun that right now unless you just really want to get the damage in. No, we're just going to go ahead, attack into the set monster. But we got Sakuretsu Armor number 1 to deal with one of the Spies. Favorable trade for Mathman, right? That's a minus for Ashes Spicy. Spy number 2 is going to attack and kill over that Sinister Serpent, so smartly holding that Exiled Force. I guess just using the Rhoda. Maybe that could very well... No, it's probably not your last Rhoda target, but I guess just wanting to thin the deck? Kind of interesting. You would think without Torrential or Mirror Force to worry about, you would grab like a Beater here instead of Exiled. Unless you're really hedging your bets against a potential Chaos in hand, maybe? Either way, though, one of the spies is dealt with, which prevents any damage being dealt to Ash's Spicy this turn, and now the spy wall is a lot more real. I'm just going to go ahead and pass. Ash's Spicy can go recur that Sinister Serpent, set something, probably the Serpent, and go ahead and activate Thunder Dragon to grab a couple more copies of itself. Notably, setting the Serpent first to play around potential Trap Dust Shoot. Not every Earth deck plays that, especially when it's running Decree, but you don't really lose a lot from just playing around it, just in case here, so smart move there from Ash's Spicy. Gonna go ahead past turn. Mathman here, Swords of Revealing Light to flip up the set. It is a Tsukuyomi. Okay. Interesting. So that'll actually flip. Yeah, well, it'll just flip itself back face down. Swords once again coming in and not being the most impactful card in the matchup, so I guess it's really just in here to protect your Goblin attack forces, which I don't feel is super duper worth it. And, you're playing against Turbo, generally you're going to have, every deck in the format needs a sideboard or side deck game plan against Turbo. So the fact that Swords makes the 55, or makes the 40 post side is kind of interesting to me. And once again, not getting a ton of value here. Just going to go ahead and turn their... Oh, interesting. What's the play? Yeah, it can target itself, right? We're going to get normal summon Exiled Force, though, that Mathman grabbed, and that can pop the Sook. Pave the way for for Spy to get in for a little bit of damage. But we got Sakuretsu Armor number 2. So trading 2 Spies for 2 Sakuretsu Armors is honestly fine if you're Mathman. You're forcing your opponent to use suboptimal answers to your cards. So you're actually kind of grinding out a game here as Earth, which you don't always see. It's kind of cool to watch Earth play this long game and just try to, basically just have a constant stream of threats, keeping the tempo advantage, keeping Turbo on the back foot. And Astra Spicy, we know the hand is Derp double Thunder Dragon, so you don't really have too much going for you at the moment. Ooh, and then that was a set Dust Shoot, so Astra Spicy smartly playing around it last turn, but they do have to just draw up into it unless they've got Cryo. No, it doesn't look like it. So we'll see. Looks like they drew Jar of Greed for turn. So you're going to send back that Sinister Serpent all day, every day. Keep him with 2 Thunder Dragons stuck in hand and a Jar of Greed that will do nothing to protect our life points. So if you're Mathman, Ashes Spicy has nothing, no interaction at all this turn. And you could maybe set up for a big hit here. We haven't seen any Gigantes played yet. There's a lot of potential attack power that can be summoned all in one turn right now. Haiku, the Ghost Destroyer, is an amazing one. Can go ahead, get in a ton of damage, apply the pressure, shut off Ashes Spicy's probably most effective out in the situation. Their best top decks are their Chaos Monsters right now. Kaiku just completely shutting that off. Massive, massive draw if that was in fact a top deck there. You get to banish a couple Darks as well. Your opponent is rocking Thunder Dragon, so they're not going to run out of lights anytime soon. So you're only one hit away from turning them off of Darks. And that Kaiku is so valuable here. Ashes Spicy has to rock that Jar of Greed. Draw a little bit further into Graceful Charity. No way. What are we going to draw? There's so much stuff in deck, but you have to deal with the Kaiku. Going to discard those Thunder Dragons, of course, but now this is 4 new real cards in hand for Ashes Spicy after that devastating Trap Dust Shoot. Drawing the out here with the Graceful Charity is absolutely absurd. We're just going to go T-set pass, though, so the Kaiku is going to stick around. Definitely could have Chaos stuck in hand. Mathman. Man, you kept it so close in such a long game against such a grindy, value-driven deck. But you're still not out of the weeds. You stuck this Kaiku, you're applying pressure, but the Graceful comes through. You have a Graceful of your own to answer it, though. Okay, great to see. We'll see if they can find something interesting. Discard a dead Dust Shoot, a dead Smashing Ground. Smashing Ground, of course, great answer to potential Giant Orcs and stuff. But, so are we keeping good things? We've got Giant Rat here. Okay. I mean, you don't know what this set is. Really good chance that it's Gravekeeper Spy, because we haven't seen any yet. Show me Nobleman of Crossout? No, we're going to attack into it. Is it Spy? Yeah, it is Spy. I'm super likely that that was the case. Graceful drawing into basically the best card in the deck. And Earth Aggro doesn't run stuff like Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke. Already used the Exiled Force, already used 2 Mystic Swordsmen. Oftentimes decks don't run the triple. So Spy finally getting resolved here, and this is going to be a huge, huge issue for Mathman to deal with here this late in the game, with so many resources gone out of both players' decks. So Ashes Spicy, have you finally stabilized? Heavy Storm here to blow out the back row. It was only the last turn of Swords. But we've got Ring of Destruction to deal with one of the spies. 1,200 to both players, so now there's only one more spy to get through if you're Mathman. Oh, but Book of Moon to set it down and save it. And that book was, gone anyway. Now, I wonder if Asher Spicy was planning on keeping that book to set the Kaiku to turn it off. But here, opting to use it to set their spy protected from the ring. And then keeping both spies on board is super valuable. You also could be on the third one to flip it and grab another copy of it. Breaker the Magical Warrior is also huge, and yeah, it looks like Ashes Spicy has finally managed to stabilize here. It's going to be able to beat over the Kaiku. Chaos Monsters can be summoned now. Yeah, so, show me the Chaos Sorcerer. Banishing the Giant Rat. Yep, there it is, and yeah. There you go. Man, that Graceful Charity top deck was just so insane. And just, Mathman did everything they could. They grinded this game out so well, but eventually Chaos will just find its good cards. And yeah, back up against the wall here. Not looking too hot. Snatch Steal, though, could be interesting. We have Snatch on Chaos Sorcerer. Okay. Chaos Sorcerer notably can beat over Gravekeeper Spy. This is the final stand for realsies here. Snatch the Chaos Sorcerer, banish the Breaker so it can't just pop your Snatch. Okay, we're going to banish the Spy. So do we have another answer to the Breaker, or are we just going to get our Snatch Steal popped? Ooh, Tribe Infecting, or Goblin Attack Virus. I feel like I've called every single monster in both players like Tribe Infecting Virus at some point in this game. But no, this is Goblin Attack Force. It's going to come down. It's going to beat over the Breaker. So yeah, interesting choice there between Banish Breaker or beat over Spy. I guess this way deals a little bit more damage, though, right? Okay, this way you deal 400 instead of dealing nothing. You might want to turn your Chaos Sorcerer to attack position. You know your opponent is running Giant Orc. That's something I would be a little bit worried about here if I was Mathman. But they opt not to. And now Ashes Spicy, this is a huge top deck scenario here. Flip Summon Spy, summon out another copy of itself to wall a little bit further. Spy can kill the Goblin Attack Force. But the Chaos Sorcerer will stick around and can get a little bit more value here. Still keeping it in defense position is a little bit sketchy. I'm going to go ahead and banish one of those spies. We've got Gigantes to go beat over the second one. And the pendulum swings again. Mathman has lethal on board? 42? Yeah, exactly lethal on board, accounting for the Snatch Steal plus 1,000. Ashes Spicy back up against the wall here. You thought you had completely stabilized with the Stork, Breaker, Book of Moon flipping your spy face down. But Snatch Steal on Chaos Sorcerer was huge out of Mathman. And what are your outs here if you're Ashes Spicy? You need MST is gone. You need maybe Snatch of your own. You need another Sork. You need a BLS. Giant Orc isn't out if you play another one because you can beat over the Sork, which is a little bit unfortunate that Mathman isn't realizing that that's a play there. But what did we draw? Ashes Spicy going to set a back row pass? That's not going to really scare me if I'm Mathman. Right? You know Mirror Force is gone. You know Torrential's gone. 2 Sakus are gone, so 1 monster is going to be able to hit in here almost for sure. Double Book of Moon is gone. I'm not giving any credence to these sets here if I'm Mathman. Gonna go set a back row, and we're gonna attack for game here. Gigantes in first. Ashes Spicy takes the 19. Sork gets in for 23. And that is game. Ooh! What are we playing? A dead duo and a dead Wind Blast. Oh, no, setting the duo when you could have Wind Blasted the Snatch Steal? No! That you gotta feel really bad about that. Oh, man, what a game. Earth Aggro can grind, apparently. Who'd have thunk? Beatdown going the distance. Like, what is this, turn 20? Turn 25? Holy. And Earth Aggro taking it 2-1 in an absolute grind fest of a match against Chaos Turbo. You love to see it. Sure, there were plays that both players would want to take back here. But man, what an interesting match. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said earlier, I'll probably be on a brief hiatus for a couple days uploading here due to the holiday here in the States. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you all have a wonderful one, and I will catch you when I return. See you later.